Well, thank you for joining me, Leslie. I'm Steph McClure. I am an HR partner here at the O'Connor Group and part of our podcast club. And this month in November, we are focusing on Mission Kids as our Connectors Who Care organization. And so we're excited to talk to you today about what you do with Mission Kids and how we can get involved.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being here. Can you share a little bit about your role at Mission Kids?
Absolutely. So I am the CEO of Services and Operations, which pretty just means my job is to keep the lights on, obviously make sure we have the appropriate staff that have all the training education they need. And of course, I'm in charge of the fundraising, marketing, just make sure everything goes smoothly.
So just a few little things that you focus on.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. Just a few minor details. Yeah.
And can you share a little bit about what Mission Kids does and maybe how you formed?
Yeah, absolutely. So Mission Kids is an independent 501c3 or nonprofit in the community that really focuses on the healing and justice for child abuse victims. And when we mean child abuse victims, that means kids who have experienced things like sexual abuse or physical abuse, or maybe witnessed a homicide or domestic violence or aggravated assault, something pretty significant that they would come to our agency. And our agency actually came together around 2009, but it actually happened because of a case that we had in Lower Merion, Montgomery County. And if you haven't seen it, you should watch Rewind.
Okay.
Rewind is actually a documentary on why Mission Kids started. It actually is a awful and beautiful movie about a little boy who experienced sexual abuse by two uncles and a cousin for many years. And it kind of shows all of the trauma that he had to go through and all of the unnecessary steps he had to go through to actually just get safe and get the healing that he needed and deserved. And justice, well, that's a different story. You should watch it, and I would recommend it to everyone. It's a hard 2 hours, but it is probably one of the more powerful movies I've ever seen.
Wow. All right, I'll put that on my
Please do.
on my list
Yes,
to
it's on
and
Hulu,
watch.
Amazon. It's fantastic. Yeah, and it shows Mission Kids and what happens. Why we came into existence to change the system. We were what he went through was unacceptable, and our district attorney at the time, Risa Furman, said no kid should have to go through that. I'm going to create an organization where. That's specifically there to respond in a child-friendly way that really focuses on that kiddo. And so that's where Mission Kids came from.
So that's amazing. I mean, it sounds like you're able to basically translate how they can get help in a way that kids can respond to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Our focus is on a multidisciplinary team approach, meaning that kids used to have to go to the hospital and then would have to go to a police department, and then child protection might come out to their school or home. Then they might have to find a therapist, and there were just too many people. And so we said, nope, everyone's going to work in one location, child-friendly location, work for that child, and we call it the multidisciplinary team approach. And then we're going to have the best interviewers with the best training available to really talk to that child in a developmentally appropriate way to hopefully get the questions answered for the entire team so that they don't have to be re-interviewed time and time again.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So the interview questions they ask the kids kind of hit all the different departments that would need to ask the questions, but in a way that the kids can understand.
Absolutely. They are experts in linguistics and questions that are appropriate for that kiddo, but without leading. So we make sure that they're neutral, non-leading, so we don't introduce people or places before that child would introduce that to an interview. So there's no leading or putting ideas in kids' heads. We're just trying to get to the truth of what happened to that child in their own words. And so, we have 3 very highly skilled and trained interviewers. They're interviewing. It's just the child and the interviewer in the room, and the whole team is observing in a different location on site.
Okay. And how do kids come to you? Like, how are you aware of these circumstances that would require your services?
Absolutely. So anyone in Pennsylvania, well, I should say any mandated reporter in Pennsylvania who has a suspicion of child abuse has to call the statewide hotline. And the statewide hotline that we call Childline then funnels those cases to local police departments and child protective services. And then those professionals then contact us. That's how those cases get to us.
Okay. So it sounds like you work very closely with all of those different organizations so that they know what you do and when to kind of alert you.
Absolutely. We work very closely with all of those partners to make sure that that absolutely they know that we're there and we're available. They can contact us anytime.
And what ages do you work with? Is it like 0 to 18?
Yeah, 0 to 18. Okay. Now, we don't interview, kids that are 0, but certainly they can be victims of child abuse, unfortunately. So we would provide services, but we would interview kids who were verbal. Okay. Normally that 2.5 to 3. They're our most challenging interviews, but we'll interview 2.5 to 3 all the way through 17.
And what types of services do you most typically provide? So I know you said it's multidisciplinary, but do you typically, focus most of your time and attention on one aspect of your services, or is it kind of across the board?
Yeah, so I think we're well known for our forensic interviewing. Okay. So meaning that the questions that we ask kids, but that's actually not the service that we spend the most time providing to kiddos. So one is family advocacy, which means that every kid and family that comes to our agency gets assigned an advocate. And they actually help them through the entire process. So they could be working with that family for a year or two, all the way through the court system. So they would help them with how to prepare to go for court, with maybe techniques to reduce your anxiety. Maybe it's a worry stone. Prepare them. Okay. Absolutely. We have a play courtroom where we can show them. They want to visit. Cool. It's so cute. It's so cute. They can go and visit the courtroom, kind of see where they would sit, where other people would sit, where the judge would sit, what the judge's job is, what the attorney's jobs are. They're helping those kids get ready for court and really just to reduce their anxiety level related to court. So they're with families for a long time, supporting them through that. The other piece is our therapy piece. We only provide evidence-based therapy, really the best that's been shown to reduce trauma symptoms or PTSD symptoms. And so we have therapists on site in our Pottstown location and in East Norriton, but then we have contracts with therapists all over the community to make sure that kids have access to those services.
Is this just in Montgomery County?
This is just in Montgomery County. We have started more larger projects regarding research, public policy, and that could be regionally, nationally, internationally, but the services we provide are absolutely in Montgomery County. Yep.
Tell me more about these advocates. So are they volunteers?
They're not. Yep.
Okay. They are paid.
They're paid staff because they really do need to have that background and understanding about kind of what families are going through, some of the trials and tribulations. They have to be experts in court. They have to know all of the players. We have, over 100 detectives we work with and prosecutors. So, they're all employees of ours.
Wow, that seems like a really important job and something that, taking a child through is even more complicated and like you said, could be over a year long or more.
Absolutely.
If the cases take a while.
Yeah, I think people think if something terrible happened to my child, that person would be arrested the next day, right? I think all of us would hope for that or think that, but that's not really how our system is set up. And so for families to really kind of understand, it's a long process and not always fair to them that have to go through it. And so our advocates kind of hold their hands through the whole thing. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about how we at the O'Connor Group can support Mission Kids maybe in this holiday season or just in general, like if we're looking to get involved, what ways can we do that?
That's a great question. So there's a few different ways. One is we recently started, probably within the last 3 years, a prevention education program. And this is a prevention education program because we were tired of saying every year we served more kids. We want to serve less kids, right?
Yeah.
We want to eliminate the possibility or reason mission kids exist. And so we started with a program called ROAR, where we're out in kindergarten and first and second grades. And so I would say, look at your own schools. See what kind of prevention education that they have. And if they don't have it, I think it's our parents, as parents, responsibility to say, what are you doing to prevent this from happening? And so we have ROAR. We
and
also
that happens within the school system?
It does,
through
yep.
counselors at the school or something like that?
Yeah, we go out to the schools. We do a presentation. It's about 20, 30 minutes because that's all you have regarding attention span of kindergarten, first or second graders. And it's really teaching them about private parts, what are safe and unsafe touches, and who to tell if someone makes you feel uncomfortable. And kids love it. It's fantastic. It has Rex the lion who comes there to school, and when we bring Rex out to the community, they love Rex. They want to hug Rex. It's a great program. We also have Safe Touches, which is a little bit more advanced for our older second graders and potentially third graders, and then we go on. So then we've added on programs regarding internet safety and things like that. So yeah, I would say ask what's available in your school, in your community, and if not, give us a call or contact us. We'd love to come out. The other ways people can get involved, of course, is volunteering. We have all kinds of volunteer opportunities.
We love to volunteer
right?
at the O'Connor
Perfect,
Group.
perfect. So we have all kinds of volunteering. One is if people want to get really involved, we have our board. We also have different committees if people liked marketing, if people liked culture and really wanted to help influence wellness in another organization. So we have all those types of places where people could share their expertise or their time. Maybe they wanted to come in and help supervise children when they come in for groups or things like that. So we'd be happy to have more volunteers kind of on site with those types of things. We always have administrative work if people did not want to kind of work with kids directly. That would be fine too. And then I would say we always have events. So we have events if people want to volunteer for events or help plan events. Events are kind of what makes everything happen for nonprofits regarding fundraising. So that's always a possibility. We also have a young professionals board that we're starting.
Ask about that. So
Great.
We have a young professionals group as one of our clubs here
Yeah.
at the O'Connor Group. And so part of this whole mission to connect all our clubs and push forward with Mission Kids is how can we, share from a young professional's perspective. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, I mean, we have a current donor base that is very interested in saying, what is the next generation going to do regarding philanthropy? And what's that going to look like? And so we want to hear from young professionals about what matters to them. How do they decide what causes they're going to give to? What's important to them? And so we're creating a young professionals board to help advise us and also kind of help us decide we have some funding we call a mission fund. So if there's a family that's having trouble keeping their lights on or really needs food in their house, this actual young professionals board will help make those decisions about where we should be putting our money and if it would be okay to support this family for this month. So we're asking people to come out for a happy hour, right?
Okay,
and learn
that
about
sounds
it.
fun.
And right? Who doesn't love a happy hour in Conshohocken, close by? And then we hope that people are interested in maybe applying for the board and helping us a little bit further.
Okay, how many folks are you looking for on the board?
So that's a great question. We'd love somewhere in that 15 to 20 people range, but we're hoping that we get 40 or 50 people out for happy hour to just learn more about it, because it might not be right for everybody, but of course we'd love people to just learn more about it.
And if someone is questioning, am I a young professional? What would you say is a young professional in your definition?
So I would love to hear what your definition of young professional is, but ours has grown over the years. As people have gotten older, the number has risen because they would still consider themselves young professionals. So we have defined it between that 20 and 39.
Okay.
So
I think ours is probably about similar.
Okay,
I would say
good.
20 to mid 30.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yep, perfect. Yeah, that's what we consider young professionals. So
Okay.
I think they just can help us a lot kind of learn about that next generation of employees and volunteers and donors.
Okay, so I'm hearing volunteering
Yes.
physically or maybe even administratively, joining the board potentially, joining a young professionals board and sharing feedback about the next generation.
Yeah, we also have more concrete ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please tell more.
So, donating. So,
Okay.
we rely on donations, obviously monetarily, but there's also ways like snacks. Every kid that comes into our agency gets offered snacks and little mini bottles of water. And we normally do not have to buy this because the community has been so generous. So, we're always looking for drives for snacks, for little mini bottles of water, and then we also look for stuffed teddy bears. Every kid leaves with a teddy bear and a book from our agency,
Oh, that's
no matter
amazing.
what happens. And then years later, so we have one child who just came back. She's in her 20s, and she still has her bear that she got from
that's
Mission Kids. So
amazing.
we know it means a lot to kids, and so every kid gets that. So that actually, we've never bought a teddy bear. That has always come from the community. And the last thing we do is art supplies. Art supplies
cool.
For our therapy. So kids love incorporating art. So I would say, watercolors, crayons, colored markers, colored pencils. Those are the things we really always need.
Okay. And if we want to find a list of these somewhere, is there some place on your website to take a look?
Absolutely. If you go onto our website under donation, we always have an Amazon wish list.
Oh, cool.
And then we always have flyers about what we're looking for during the holidays.
Okay, so we can all just go to Amazon and add to cart a bunch of things.
Absolutely. It is super easy.
Does it get sent right to you?
It gets sent right to us,
so easy.
yes. But certainly let us know too so we can send you like a thank you note.
Well, is there anything else that we should know about Mission Kids as we think about how we want to give back this upcoming holiday season?
No, I think that I think the community should know that they should be really proud of all of the professionals that are working for children who have experienced abuse in our community. I think we've made a huge difference, and that's we have some of the best law enforcement, child protective service workers, prosecutors who literally work all day and all night on behalf of all of our children. And so I think they should be really proud, and we hope that they get involved. We are literally only here because the community demanded better for our children. And so, yeah, we'd hope they would get involved.
Wow, that's amazing. It's so great to hear about the hard and critical work that you're doing, and just to see how you've brought so many community players together to make a more efficient and, like you said, child-friendly model for something that's traumatic for kids in the community. So thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. And, we're excited to be able to share more of these opportunities with our team.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.